which I admire. And I want to say that this is something which is very pioneering. And I am very pleased that I am now meeting you in person.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to meet you in person as well. Yeah, and as I'm working, often working with Professor Nakata. He is the disciple of Tsuboi,
Yes,
Professor Tsuboi. And Professor Nakata is one of the best engineer in Japan, and he studied as under Tsuboi, Professor Tsuboi, but now as he is designing the wooden building as well.
yes. I also had a chance to meet Professor Aoki and Kawaguchi.
Ah, really?
Yes, 4 months, he was in Ahmedabad and we traveled together. And when I was in Japan, we traveled and he showed me the beautiful culture of your country.
Ah, really? And
Yes.
the grandson of Professor Aoki is now working for us.
Oh, then you must tell him and talk to him about this because I also had dinner with him and with his family.
Ah, really?
Yes.
Oh, it's a great story.
Isn't this his name Shigeru?
Yes, Shigeru.
Yes. So he came at the first time as a Professor Suboi's disciple, and then we continued staying. And then when I was in Tokyo, trying to work on an auditorium, Aoki was also helping me. But because we were young, we were very close friends, and it was very, very nice of him. And kind of when I came again once to Japan, he treated me very hospitably.
Ah, really?
His family, yeah, I went into his wife, and family had arranged a special place for dinner.
Ah, really? Um,
Yes.
yeah, Mr. Aoki is very old, but he's still still nice, and as a grandson is living with grandfather Shigeru.
Yes. Oh, that's very good. So you will please give him my regards and my love and appreciation for all that he did for us.
Ah, okay, I will do that.
But tell me what made you change the shift, in your work from concrete and steel to wood?
Yeah, as a big turning point is 1990s. 1990s economic was very bad, and as every project of Tokyo's are cancelled, and then as I went to the countryside of Japan, and I began to design the wooden building in countryside.
That's right. Also, the idea, of using wood, the scale, you can make it very elegant and delicate and
Mhm.
also strong and very rhythmic. So
Mm.
it looks like what I saw a little bit of your work. It is a lot of musical quality into it.
Musical, yes, yes,
Yes, very,
yeah.
very beautiful, very graceful work.
Yeah, I love music very much. Um, yeah, it's a very good comment. Yes, yeah, thank you for the
Professor,
Uh,
comment.
yeah, thank you.
you know,
Professor Doshi, what we could do is we will start the live stream in now 12:15, and
okay.
after Kuma Sensei presents,
Uh,
there are a few questions which I will raise, and at that time maybe you could share your thoughts on what the presentation was.
sure, sure, of course.
Because
But I don't.
12:15.
But let us hear him, because I think what he's doing is very pioneering.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
We can present the screen. Can we present the screen later? I think we'll do the introduction and then, or you want to present the screen now?
Yeah, we can present. なんか最初は紹介があって、その後スクリーンのプレゼンする。はい、今紹介をする。Yeah, please. Yeah, please continue. Yeah, we will stop the presentation right now.
Okay.
Introductions here.
So how it would go is first the vice president would kind of invite and start. Then I would give a brief introduction, and then maybe then one can upload and start the presentation. When the presentation is over, we will invite Professor Doshi to kind of give his sharing his insights on the presentation, and we'll have a kind of a dialogue and a question answer at the end of it. So that is broadly what we have planned. It is for 1 hour, so we're going to try and complete it in 1 hour. So we start at 12:15. We can go live stream now with Vice President, Council of Architecture, Sapna, inviting. Then I will give a brief introduction, and then I would hand it over to Kuma Sensei to present his work. We look forward to it. Yeah, is that okay? So we can live stream now, and Sapna ji can start, please. And you can keep it in spin speaker mode if you require.
Are we live now?
Yeah, you'll have to. We'll just ask her to go live. Yeah, we are live. We can start. Please start.
Good afternoon, everyone. Warm greetings from Council of Architecture. I welcome you all to COA Social Reads 4. Today, we are glad and honored to have architect Kengo Kuma on COA Social Reads Forum. Architect Kengo Kuma is recognized all over the world for his unique projects, not only in Japan but in other countries as well. The Council of Architecture initiated the COA Social Forum so that young architects, practicing architects, faculty, and students could get the opportunity to interact and understand the different aspects of practice. In the past, we had architect B.V. Doshi, who is here with us today. Warm welcome, Professor Doshi. We are very happy and glad you could join us today. In the past, we had also invited Professor Johani Plasma, Mahinder Raj, and several others on COA Social. Architect Kengo Kuma is recognized all over the world, and today he is speaking on a very important topic: why wood matters. On behalf of Council President Mr. Habib Khan and all the members of COA Social, we once again invite architect Kengo Kuma on COA Social Forum. I would now request Professor Durganand Balsavar to introduce our esteemed architect today. Over to Professor Durganand. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We are really, today is a very great day. We have great company today. A special event that we have architect Kengo Kuma Sensei joining us from Tokyo, Japan, sharing with his experiences and insights on why wood matters. We're also glad and honored that Professor B.V. Doshi could join us today and make the event memorable for us. I will briefly introduce Kuma Sensei, as he is fondly known in Japan. Kuma Sensei was born in 1954, and before establishing Kengo Kuma and Associates in 1990, he received his master's degree in architecture from the University of Tokyo, where he currently is a university professor and a professor emeritus. During his graduate studies, he made a research trip across the Sahara, exploring various villages and settlements, observing the unique power and beauty. After his time as a visiting scholar at Columbia University in New York, he established his office in Tokyo. The office, Kengo Kuma and Associates, has designed architectural works in over 20 countries and received prestigious awards, including the Architectural Institute of Japan Award, the Spirit of Nature Award, Wood Architecture Award of Finland, and the International Stone Architecture Award, Italy, among others. Kengo Kuma and Associates aims to design architecture which naturally merges with its cultural and environmental surroundings, proposing a gentle, humane scale buildings. The office is constantly in search of new materials to replace concrete and steel, which were materials of the 20th century, and open a new discovery in wood, and seeks a new approach to architecture in post industrial society. I now invite, and we are honored to invite, architect Kengo Kuma Sensei to begin his presentation. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for giving me the chance to talk to you. And it's a great honor for me to have the Professor Doshi, and he has been in Japan many times, and we have strong connection. And today, I want to talk about the importance of wood in architectural design, and the encounter with wood for me was the 1990s. 1990s, the Japanese economy was bad, and every project in Tokyo was canceled, and as I went to the countryside of Japan, and there, I could find the importance of wood. The, the first project I want to show you is Hiroshige Museum. Hiroshige is name of the artist in 19th century. And I designed this building, completed this building year 2000. And this building, I did use wood for the roof and the wall and the interior. As possible as can, I did use local wood. And to use wood for the roof was not so easy in that period, because we need to have inflammable wood, but the technology of inflammable wood was not developed yet in 1990s. And for this building, I found very good engineers who produced the inflammable special wood, and also I tried to use wood from the forest behind this building. I want to explain the importance of wood in Japanese culture. In Japan, wood and forest is part of the life, and the people did use wood very carefully, because the forest behind the village, we call it Satoyama. The Satoyama's meaning is village mountain, has been respected very much, as the people believed God was living in that kind of Satoyama, and every energy and every material came from that forest, and that people believed without Satoyama they cannot survive anymore. And then always people build shrine at the edge of Satoyama, and the shrine is a symbol of God in forest, and also the shrine was sending the strong message to the people: use wood carefully, and without wood, we will not survive. It is a very strong message, And the generation by generations of people pass that message to younger generation. But in 20th century, the people forgotten the message from shrine, because every material and every infrastructure came from big city. In that case, everything came from Tokyo, and then the people totally forgotten the Satoyama. And it is a very, very sad situation for us, because the condition of Satoyama, of the nature in Satoyama, is getting worse and worse, and its causes flood. And recently, is every year we have the very terrible flood, and the main reason of that flood is the bad condition of forest. And for this Hiroshige museum, I tried to use wood from Satoyama, from the mountain behind the building, and also to use the wood close to the site is very important, because for global warming, to use wood helps a lot to decrease the temperature of globe. And it is a big role of the forest. And for this building, as a plan-wise, I cut the building to create the hall, and this hall is showing shrine, and people approaching this building always look shrine, and people got to understand the importance of shrine in the forest. And I want to go back to the hall that I designed. This is a site plan, shows the relationship between Satoyama and the building. And this hall is connecting shrine, forest, and village. And the material-wise, I try to use the wood as possible as can. And also the wood on the roof can decrease the energy consumption. It is energy saving as a section. And for interior, the wood can give the warm atmosphere to the space, and also to use the material from village, activate the local economy, and also the people's motivation for the building was very much raised by the use of local material. The papers in this image was the production from the village. So I worked with the craftsmen of the village, and they were very happy to work for the building in the village. I want to create the super juxtaposition of the screen made by wood, and the building was totally merged into the environment. In European countries, also to use wood is now getting a kind of boom. And in Italy, so I designed this small pavilion, and for this pavilion, so I didn't use metal at all. The joint of the wood, I got a hint from traditional Japanese carpentership, and the carpenters in Japan often uses this kind of joint, and this shows the process of joinery, and without metal and without glue, people fix firmly this joint. And the materials and every joint was cut in Japan, but the construction of the building, I worked with student, and the student learned a lot from the construction process. And after coming back from Italy, I decided to use the similar system to the real 3-story building. I tested the strongness of joint in the university, and this shows the diagram of joint, and this is a section of the building. The actual size of each unit is 3 centimeters by 3 centimeters section, and the span from joint to joint is 50 centimeters, and without any column, those joints supported the building. And this is the interior of this museum. And the impression is very warm and very bright and transparent. And in the Yusuhara village, it is very far from Tokyo, as it is small village, whereas they had the wooden bridge before, and they decided to construct wooden bridge again by the contemporary wooden technology. And as this big span was achieved by contemporary wooden technology. And as the engineers of these wooden structures is Professor Nakada. The Professor Nakada is a disciple of Professor Tsuboi, and Professor Tsuboi and Kenzo Tange worked together for the Olympic Stadium in 1964. And the wooden bridge is often covered by the roof for protection of the material. And so we sometimes use this the interior space for the exhibition. And then it is a wooden bridge, but at the same time it's used for the small museum for the village. So for the same Yusuhara village, we designed a small hotel made by thatch. And this kind of thatch is a roof was very popular in that village, but that's 50, 60 years, they didn't use thatch for the roof. And then the craftsmanship is almost disappearing. And as I try to use thatch for the facade of the building, facade of the wooden building. And thatch was also very important in the Japanese forest. And also material-wise, thatch block is good for the insulations and the textures is very warm. This is a small hotel for the village, but it became as a very popular for the tourist. This is our newest project for this Yusuhara village. It's a community library. This community library, they did use the mixed structure of steel and wood. So we try to create the atmosphere of forest. And also the people take off the shoes in the library, and the kids are enjoying the soft texture of wooden floor. And some kids are studying and playing in the library whole day. And I think it is because of wood. The normal concrete library cannot achieve this kind of the soft atmosphere. This shows the joint. And as Starbucks is a global company, but one day they came to us, and they asked us to design a special Starbucks shop in front of the important shrine. And as our solution is to use wood for the structure of Starbucks. This is not decoration. As I want to show the craftsmanship of Japan to a global company. Again, the atmosphere is like forest. And it became one of the most Instagrammable Starbucks in the world. And then the Starbucks headquarter invited me to give a lecture in the headquarters of Starbucks. And I spoke to them the importance of wood and the importance of the craftsmanship for the big global company. And the CEO, founder of Starbucks, Mr. Schultz, totally agreed with my idea. And recently, they often use the local material and wood for the interior of Starbucks. And this is a small shop in Tokyo. I adapted the joint system of Starbucks to the 3-story building. And again, the small wooden unit are supporting the building. So no column and no the heavy wall. And the small units are supporting. And also engineering and the structures engineering is very important for this building. This is showing the joint system. And again, we try to avoid metal as possible as can. And in the center of Tokyo, we designed this 40 meters high building in front of the big temple. Location-wise, it is just in front of the temple. So we propose this kind of section. It is a 40 meters, 7-story building, but each floors people can feel intimate space and intimate material. And this becomes very popular space in the center of Tokyo. People love wood very much, as people love this kind of warmness. So for the big public building, this city hall, I also propose wood for the main material. My idea for the city hall is this kind of as a dormer space in the farmer's house. And this is as a public plaza in the city hall, but the material we did use here is same as dormer space for the farmer's house. And so this is a public building, but is the wood attract people, and wood is a kind of magnet. And then every year, as more than 1,000,000 visitors are coming to this the city hall, and we combined with sustainable technologies. For example, the photovoltaic panels, openable and controlled by computers. And it's a combination of traditional natural material and contemporary energy technology. As a traditional material from the village, and as were used for furnitures. And this furniture so far was made by rice paper. And we designed those furnitures as well. Sorry, the computer was pleased. Okay, and also and we did use that kind of the traditional material for the counter as well. And as for the small house, the pavilion, so we try to combine the carbon fiber with wood. This is a section of the building, and the carbon fiber's strength is 7 times as the steel wire. And the good thing is the lightness of carbon fiber, and it's almost disappearing in the structural system. And the carbon fiber is suspending the edge of cantilevers, but the carbon fiber is disappearing. And in Europe, so we also did use the wood for bigger building. In France, this is the cultural center facing river close to Swiss, and we try to preserve old brick building, and we add wooden building. And as this kind of a hall is very important for our design, we always try to connect the city and nature, and also we try to bring people to waterfront through the building. So we did design landscape as well. As a green landscape and the wood can create harmony. As many birds and as many insects are coming to the building. And as a newest project in France is as a Saint-Denis Play station in Paris. And the location-wise, it is very dense, the context in Paris. And then our idea is to have park on the station building. And also for interior, so we try to use wood as possible as can. As maintenance is very critical, important for the station building, but the French National Railway Company finally agreed with us to use wood for the big station. And it's the four subways and as a national the railways the meet here and plus shopping center and as a museum, and it's scale-wise it's biggest station in Paris, and as most of the material of the station is natural material. And in state, we did use wood and the green roof for the museum building. It is museum for Japanese garden in Portland, Oregon. It is covered by green, so it saves the energy very much, and also we try to open the building as possible as can to the beautiful environment. The local wood from Portland. And in UK, so we did design the Victoria and Albert Museum in Dundee, Scotland. Dundee, Scotland it has this kind of sea cliff as close by, and so we got a hint from the sea cliff. And as a facade, we need to have the strong material, the hard material, because of the tough condition of climate. But for interior, so we use wood as possible as can. This is the atmosphere of wood. As I use the local oak my idea for the interior is intimate scale. Each panel is intimate scale, and as created as a very soft and tangible texture. And the living room for the city is our concept for the building, and people really love this concept. And we talk together that museum should be the living room for the city, as not for the art, it is for the life. And as in Australia, as also people really want to use wood for the public building. The exchange as is name of the building, and location-wise is a many tower building, is a tower condominium, field this area, and city wanted to have warm public space, also including libraries and the kindergartens and food cars. And so we bended the real wood to create this facade. And the city itself is very dense and very tall. But the only this plaza has a totally different atmosphere. As in Turkey, they asked me to use wood for the contemporary art museum. My impression of Turkey is stone building and brick building, but historically, some buildings were made by wood, and especially this part of the city, most of the buildings were made by wood. And so our idea for this contemporary museum is create the intimate scale by wood. And so they came to Japan to research the wooden technology and wooden engineering. In Europe, Denmark is very advanced as a country as for sustainable design, and they decided to use wood for Christian Andersen Museum. And Christian Andersen is a national, is a hero of the museum, and the kids really still love the fairy tales of him. And our idea is, it is not museum, it is a landscape for kids. And the building is disappearing in the landscape. And we need wood for this kind of philosophy. And each garden has a special theme, and very much related with each tales of Andersen. For the resort building, so we also try to use wood. It is a new Amampli Pavilion. Amampli is very famous as a resort in Phuket, Thailand. And so our idea is to use the wood and for every building in the resort. So inspired by traditional Thai roof, but as a technology-wise, we did use the special wood, and it's a big span, and there's a natural light and wooden building are combined together to create transparency for the roof. The roof looks like floating in the forest. As maybe you know this project, this is a national stadium for Olympic 2020, but unfortunately, because of pandemic, so we should postpone the Olympic. And our design started before pandemic, and but our idea for the stadium is bring nature to the stadium and bring natural wind to the stadium. And that idea and that philosophy will fit the era after pandemic. And the section of the roofs are coming from the simulation of natural wind of the site. And even in summers, so we don't use air conditioning for the stadium. And this idea came from traditional building in Japan. And this pagoda, the Buddhism pagoda, was built 7th century. And 7th century building is still used in Japan. And if we design carefully, the life of wood can be very, very long. And also for the roof, the main structure is a combination of wood and steel. And as for the big station in Tokyo, it's opened last year, And we did use as a wood for the roof structure of the building. Our main idea is to create the big transparent space for the station. So normally the stations is a very industrial building, but instead, so we try to bring nature as possible as can. And if in future, if you can visit Japan again, please use this as a station. It is very close to Tokyo Station. And this is CLT Park Harumi. So we worked with Mitsubishi as a real estate for this project. And the Mitsubishi is now very much interested in wooden technology, and they started a new factory for wooden panels. And the idea for this pavilion is as the aggregation of CLT panels, and CLT as a close laminated as timbers is a new technology, and it's that technology made us possible to construct the bigger building and easily and cheaply. It is sitting in the center of Tokyo. The atmosphere is very different from normal building. And the people can feel a kind of the man-made forest in the big city. And we can feel natural wind, and we can feel natural light, even in the center of the city. And the kids of this area really love that building. And there's also nighttime, the warm textures of wood, bring a very different feeling to the city. For the interior of this project, we also did use a small cut piece of wood to create the unique staircase. This is detail of the staircase. And furniture was also made by CLT panels. And this as a pavilion was designed and constructed for the Tokyo Olympic, but now we are planning to move this pavilion to the countryside of Japan. And another advantage of CLT panels is easy to transport. And it can be take apart into small pieces, and we can move this building to the countryside very easily. And this is a final image of the project. At the end of lectures, I want to announce there's a competition. It is very important. From January 26th to the end of March, architecture design competition and design and technical workshop events will be held. As a competition award, in this competition, prize winners would be invited to Japan. The tours may include a visit to New National Stadium, which is the main venue for Olympic Games. And my office, Kuma Kengo and Associate, Actually, the Olympic Stadium and my office, now I'm talking from my office, is a 10 minutes walk. It is very close, and you can see the both buildings. And the detail of the competitions and workshop will be shown in the web page attached to URL on the slide after Tuesday, 26 January. Please check the URL and please join the competition. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Kuma Sensei, for a very fascinating presentation of diverse projects from very small scale to large scale. We've got many questions from our participants from around the world. They're there from Southeast Asia, we have from Paris, we have from New Zealand, Japan, and Sri Lanka. So we've really got a very large group which is watching this program, and they have sent their questions. So we have kind of put the questions into certain themes which your projects are exploring. We also did a study and we spoke to the book that Frampton wrote on your complete works. So that was also another reference. So there are certain themes, and we will keep it as short as we can. And then we would like to invite Professor Doshi also to give a few thoughts and insights, because this is a rare moment. But before that, the participants' questions will raise. In all your projects, there seems to be a new theme which was not there in the 20th century so clearly, and I think in your book in 95 on anti-object, you have written about it, that in the 20th century, we were all the time seeing form. And your projects seem to be exploring the assembly of parts and relationships. So relationships are more important than form. Would that be a right way to look at, or a way to see your projects? When we see it, we see a theme of exploring so many relationships where the part is repeated, but the relationship of the part repeated can generate a very amorphous form and really have a conversation with ecology, culture, and the social context. Would it be? Could you share your insights on that? Because it's a very different approach.
Yeah, as in 20th century, the only materials architects were using is concrete and steel, and in that kind of limit, the people try to create unique sculptural pieces. But the relationship with environment and the relationship with place is often ignored in that kind of project. So instead, I'm thinking about the relationship with environment. And the environment is as means sometimes the local economy. The to use wood can activate local economy, and also the to use the carpenters, the local carpenters, can activate the economy of village. The some concrete building was be made only by big construction company from the city, but wooden buildings, so we can work with local people, and then it's very important for local economy and local culture, and also to use wood from the local forest, the means the maintenance of local forest. By using wood carefully, we can keep the good condition for the local forest, and then it also means relationship between the building and the mountain behind. I'm always thinking about how to create healthy relationship between architecture and the environment. And in the big scale, the global warming and the CO2 is very much related with the use of wood. And the use of wood also can help us to solve the global warming.
Wonderful. Uh, in the 1990, and that's the time also you were writing your book on the anti-object, when all the architects were moving to the big city to build the skyscrapers. At that time, you were doing something reverse and inverse, that you went into a region of Tohoku region, where you have a certain confinement and isolation from the rest of the world. But because of that, the craftsmanship also was alive. There was a memory. So, what is your relationship to what Frampton talks about as vernacular and tradition? Because you're not vernacular, but at the same time, by moving in the 1990 to Tohoku and evolving a new ecosystem, what was that experience? Because the wood and your profound understanding of wood appears to come from that experience, if I'm interpreting it.
Yeah, the economy-wise, the Tokyo and the West Japan, the Osaka, Kyoto's, are kind of as advanced area. But Tohoku, as the up north area, the economy-wise, it is not advanced. And the mentality of the Tohoku people is very strong, but they don't have the big companies, they don't have big factory, and I think it is because of industrialization in Japan. Industrialization in Japan is mainly coming to Tokyo and Osaka area. But in futures, in 21st century, the craftsmanship in Tokyo, Tohoku, we still can find very good craftsmanship in Tokyo area. That can be the treasure of Japan. And then, as I went to Tohoku area, and to find the chance to work with craftsmen in Tohoku area. And I really enjoy the collaboration with Tohoku people. And we could design the very unique building in Tohoku area. And Professor Frampton visited some of my buildings in Tohoku, and he really enjoys the hidden tradition of Japan. And some professors, most of the historians, knows only the carpentership in Kyoto and Tokyo, but Tohoku is totally different world, and I can feel the big potential in Tohoku area.
Wonderful. So we are looking at really a discovery of a ecosystem. There is a craftsman, there is the wood, there is the cyclical eco cycle of the wood being used and again growing. And you were referring to maybe 200, 300 years ago in Japan, where the mountain or the hill is very sacred, very holy. And so in your Hiroshige museum, you are respecting the mountain, you're changing the opening to relate to the mountain and not the car park area. And in that, but you have also evolved a new contemporary ecosystem of structural engineer, wood, craftsperson, and modern technology. So how do you see this weaving? Is it this that allows you to work in more than 20 and 25 countries around the world, because that ecosystem in the mind keeps changing in each country? How does it happen?
Yeah, I feel the big change as a people's way of thinking. As in 20th century, the people were only thinking about the growth of economy and built as and as abundant it was a normal way of making building. But now the many people began to think about the possibility of recycle system of every material. As especially the wood is very helpful to create the local creates the new as a recycle system, and this is a very wide system, including the environmental system to the construction system, and also the many new technologies are coming to the forestry and the wooden industry, and to working with new technology as a, as a can change the image of wooden building. It is as a building. It is a part of big recycle system.
Wonderful. Professor, yeah, we are almost coming to the end of the 1 hour, but thank you for introducing the competition. And we are really looking for a new cultural relationship between Japan and China, Japan and India. And we're really looking at how wood can re-emerge in India, inspired by our work. And that is the competition. And I think there is going to be interest in the competition across the world after seeing the Harume CLT Park. One question before I invite Professor Doshi to reflect on this presentation. One question. Another difference we see in Harumi is that because it is an assembly of small parts, now the architecture can move, it's a mobile architecture. It is even getting a freedom from the place and the context. What are your thoughts on this? It's a new way of looking at architecture where the parts begin to move, and because we are no more controlled by the form, and so it becomes a mobile architecture.
Yeah, I think as a mobility, as a mobile architecture will be more will is it as will be changing as after pandemic as very much as people now try to find a new way of working, the new way of living, and then the mobility can be is a big option and a big as a tool to find this new lifestyle.
Thank you. Kuma Sensei, could I invite Professor Doshi to give his insights or give his reflection of your fascinating presentation and fascinating projects?
Durganand, I don't know how to express what I feel today listening to Professor Kengo Kuma. I was there in 1958, but I was there for 4 months. And what I think I saw and what I picked up, but I never knew how to put it anyway in thought or practice, was creating, seeing, observing, practicing, discovering everything that we do in life. If I put that, into my visit to the Zen shrine, Ise shrine, I could see what Professor Kuma has done. He has almost given an absolute thinnest possible expression to the minimum material that is existing in this country. And like a monk, a Zen philosopher, he has transformed architecture and life together. To me, deep inside, he is honoring life and he is celebrating life. Whether it is paper, whether it is a building material, whether it is a chair, whether it is the ground, whether it is the water, what he does is, what is the essence? What is it that can do so that you cannot even go beyond it? So this whole idea of looking at every object, because when I was watching him saying everything, I don't know how much he must be observing nature. Continuously he is observing nature, the fragility of nature, the thinness of nature, and the essence of nature in which ephemerality comes in. Everything becomes thin, quiet, and absolute. It expresses its existence. And I think he's talking about existence. What is it? Whether you take a cloth, because when I was in Japan, I was all the time looking at the kind of table lamp, the paper, the dinner, the arrangement of the food, the kind of taste of food, the kind of rituals that were there, everything had honoring. There was a respect. There was a reverence. And as a result, when that reverence comes, everything becomes fluid. What is the nature of water? I mean, when they look at the nature of paper, an object, because every object that he has said, everything that I saw in his work, I think one has gone to the last element. And not only that, but in the end, that ephemerality gives the highest honor to the material itself. And I think that is all I can say, that you have honored life, you have celebrated life, and you have celebrated every object that you conceive or you use or you think of. And I think that's all I can say. And my full honor, I must say, full respects, I would say I'm thanked that I was able to come here and see this, because it has brought me back to 1958 and all the rituals that I went through with all this Professor Tange and others. And every time I was wondering what is the Japanese, how that Zen philosophy talks about, whether it is a tea ceremony or whether you go and buy something in the shop. And when they bow down, I think there is that grace. And I think what he has done is, for architects, he looks at the forest, the natural forest, and he says, you don't need anything else. Take care of the forest and you will take care of your life at every level. And I think, to me, this is what I have learned today. So thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Professor. Those great comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Architect Kuma Sensei. And we will end the program now. We are profoundly glad that you could present to us. It's an inspiration, and we are going to announce an international competition inspired by your work. Thank you very much, and I hope we can continue the dialogues later. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.